Okay, so this is a Cauldron Creep 2012. Actually, we call him Cauldron Vampire Creep because he's got those fangs right there. That's what makes him different than all the other Cauldron Creeps out there. And this is an idea that we based off of an idea, a really cool prop by a guy named Devil's Chariot, and awesome idea. Basically, there's a bunch of people also who then expanded on that, added their own stuff, and explained how they did it. So that really helped a lot. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is this cauldron and how we made that. We followed the guidance of a YouTube channel, a guy at a YouTube channel called The Haunting Grounds, and he explains how he made it a cauldron from a big plastic tote, and that's what we did. We used this big plastic tote from Target. We taped cardboard around it to make it sort of rounder looking in the middle, and then we duct taped around that. And then rather than using paper mache on it, what we used instead was joint compound, and just kind of troweled that on there, and then sanded it a little bit, put another layer or two if needed, and then basically painted it black paint first, and then we sponged on some bronze paint and put in some orange paint for rusty highlights, and that was it. The little handles there are little plastic door knockers from Dollar Tree for the Halloween season, so that worked out pretty good. So that's how we made that. And the bottom part is also another idea. This one came from on YouTube. If you go to Yard Hunters, the guy there made a cauldron creep, and we used his idea for the bottom part. Basically, we made a wood stand, which is in the shape of an H, out of 2x8s, and screwed that to the bottom of the cauldron, and then basically put chicken wire around the bottom, and then followed that up with some saran wrap, and then on top of the saran wrap we put great stuff. There's the can of the great stuff right there. That's the spray-on foam, and then making sure to leave some openings for the light to shine through, and then painted it black with a paintbrush and some acrylic paint, and then underneath you just put some Halloween twinkling lights, and you have your hot coals. And then inside the cauldron, I made a little wood stool, which is actually painted black, so it's kind of hard to see, but there's a wood stool in there made out of 2x8s, and it's screwed into the bottom of the cauldron, and basically on top of that is the wiper motor, which you see there. It's just an aluminum strip that's screwed in there, and a PVC cap. So when that goes around, it moves the stick. The fog can come in the bottom, and then the fog comes in and hits the bottom of that stool, and it slowly spreads around and comes up, and that really slows it down so it doesn't come pouring out of there too fast, and it looks really cool. Don't have the tubing touching the smoke machine, because the fog machine, it'll melt. It gets hot, it'll melt it. So we have it a couple of inches away there. So we'll take off his cloak and talk about how he works. The guy is made out of PVC, and we got the measurements for the PVC from the Mr. Jingle's Haunted Mansion. There's a website, and it's got all the dimensions, and then you just kind of put it together. The feet are attached to that frame, the wood H frame underneath. It's attached to that, and what I found is actually I had to basically screw the PVCs together, the PVC pieces, because it kept coming apart. over here. That motor, it's a synchronous gear motor. It's attached to these metal aluminum strips that I made, and then that attaches to this tube of PVC, which is the neck, which attaches to his head, and basically moves the head up and down at about 5 or 6 RPM. Make sure if you're making one of these, the motor inside the Cauldron needs to be at about 14, 15 RPM to look good, in my opinion. So here he is moving here, and for the hands I used a little bit of heat to bend the fingers, and actually I broke some of the fingers. I had to glue them back together. The way this thing works is there's a rigid arm here. You can see that the PVC tube on the upper arm is connected by wire to the stick. The first stick we tried was too heavy. It looked good, but it was just so heavy it actually made the thing fall over. It's pretty loose connection here, which allows the wrist to move a little bit. You can kind of see it better from this side. And that wrist movement is what makes it look like he's actually moving stirring it. And then the lower arm is just loose. It's just kind of like a marionette arm. This is just a computer speaker, powered one. It's connected to a Sansa player, basically. And I just found a wave file of some bubbling, run it on repeat. He doesn't have his eyes in right now, but these are the eyes right here. We started trying to wire in some lights into his skull. We were having a hard time with that. So I came up with this idea of using these little flashlights. Little tiny flashlights you can pick up from Target. What we did was we took some of these bouncy balls, these little kids' balls, you know, you bounce around, and they're sort of translucent, and we cut it in half, and then hot glued it to a piece of foam. And then what you can do is you can just kind of turn the light on here, and with one hand, and there we go. Basically stick that in there, and then you have your translucent eye. Then I just cut some holes in the skull eyes here, and you basically just kind of insert those puppies in there like that. He's got his eyes, see? There's one eye. And then I'll put the other eye in, and I'll turn on the smoke machine. Let's turn the smoke machine on there. And I forgot to mention we have these colored lights